Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We took a recess. They're grabbing the lady who they were told to not be a part of the trial. So let's see what's going to happen here. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there, you were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, mom's spaghetti, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight. Before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in testimonies. I mean, not to brag, but I am an old hand at this. Well, me, not him. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Can you imagine if it's like that? And the rest of the game is just him, working a cafe, a slow life sort of thing. What a twist. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is Giselle a name? I don't think it is. That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Oh god, are we gonna get the bracelet vision going on? Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman, I sucked at in Apollo Justice, when you'd have to do the things where you'd have to like zoom in on them and find their tick. I couldn't do that. That was rough. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table. I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up. Bang! I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to... This is new. Okay. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended the suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. There you are.
Well done, both of you.
There's Mike Hagar. Professor Mikotoba.
Well, it seems I was right. A pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say.
Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial.
Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. Just not the cooking part. Trust me. You don't want you to trust me. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled.
Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise. If I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What are you saying, Kazuma?
So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way.
Kazuma?
Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man.
No, don't look at me with those big ol' eyes. To me?
Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case.
They do have the same mustache. Now, I'm not saying anything, but... Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim?
Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA, and it was I who invited him.
Oof. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before.
Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible.
But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman, whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide.
Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Now then, I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need.
Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Ooh, Sama. Ooh, hit with the Sama.
Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once.
It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow before these old fossils know what's hit them. You're kind of cool, buddy. Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed in me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really gonna give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. Oh, sukiyaki's so good! With an extra large portion, of course. God, I want to go for some sukiyaki after this. The fun thing is I can just go walk down the street and grab some, which is... I love living in the city. Alright, so it is officially lunch, noon.
The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aoshi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling,
That's a new one.
the prosecution is now under painful scrutiny from the government.
Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders?
Terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. Oh, buddy, you're saying some pretty dope things. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke.
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England?
Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in.
Oh, yo, him wiping the sweat like that was pretty good.
By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all.
Ooh.
Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
You little brats!
Thank you, Counsel. The court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett.
Yes. Your Excellency.
That's the sound of his glasses on there. Oh, that's a hat. Ma'am, you are kind of really hidden.
Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea! Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea.
Is that true? Or is that true? No idea.
So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court?
Of course. Not you. My name is Satoru Osanaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at Le Carnaval, but my true...
Yes, we know all about you already.
Inspector Osanaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first.
Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty.
So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
What do you expect me to do? Huh.
I'm terribly sorry, dear lady. What?
Me. The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in Yume University's medical faculty.
Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British.
Oh no.
I'm afraid I don't understand what you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song.
It's funny because they're painting it as like this like beautifully written like, oh, what a beautiful language, when it's probably like, oi bruv, cheers, London's West End, isn't it? Gloucestershire. Watch it be like Welsh. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Oh, yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Cosma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention to your English classes, Ryunosuke.
The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called Le Carnaval, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct?
Me. She says yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? Yeah, could you imagine being in another country that you can't speak the language of? That'd be wild. Then again, in a world of Google Translate, who cares? She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape, I was just following special orders from the Bureau.
Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over to this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps?
Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight.
What do you mean to say?
Yes, it would appear that the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Oh, dang.
Order in the court.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement.
Well, looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is.
Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described.
Me, 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 me. Oh boy. Witness testimony. Let's go. Frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beef steak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun. What? Professor just walking around? He's just walking around with that thing on him, okay. And shot him before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit.
This is a condemning testimony indeed.
Stop with the yes. I feel like yes is a terrible thing because it sounds like you're agreeing, right? No, I don't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. I didn't have any argument with the professor at all.
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. And I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe.
You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. It's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying! Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. I don't know about that. Also, is it just me, or does she almost have like a nine-tailed fox-looking hat? Like the way that the tails are going up there? The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a The bird is a gun. The bird is the gun. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to.
Unless and until the precise...
Oh! Let me try that again.
Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot.
The crater of fortune? Well, he does want to be the little girl. There are no pockets in my outfit. Oh, I mean, that tracks. That's a woman's outfit thing. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Ugh, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Is Kazuma gonna look over? He's like, don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Oh, the vixen.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency. All right. Frightening and sorrowful. Can we cross? Okay, we can't cross-examine her memes. Is there any memes of hers here? Let's see. She just came over to the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot it. Okay, so it's all Hosonaga translating. Okay. So let's start with, I'd arranged to meet for a slightly late lunch.
Yes!
Okay, let's get some more info. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it? Almost like it could be an early supper, wouldn't you say?
Objection!
You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are en vogue, isn't that right?
No.
Oh, oh.
A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems, so it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would have lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which was why it was so late.
Yes, that all makes perfect sense.
Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is.
So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? Okay. Was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself.
Yes!
Can a woman eat a steak? He was unable to eat, you say. And that was because he just had a tooth removed at the Hoda clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of the fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean... And it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left.
Dear me, what a harrowing
That sounds important.
to have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear we'll crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight.
All right, question time. 24. Okay. All right. And getting good view of the ages. So you're hitting on her at 51, buddy. It's a bit strange. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right. Other than some carbonated water. I guess that counts. Just water? Yes. The professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. I feel carbonated water would also be bad for your mouth, but okay. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? That's meaningful. Sums up, because there's only one glass. The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on the case.
Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing?
I'm just following the game. The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony.
Well sidestepped, counsel.
Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony.
Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Cosma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself, and the professor and I said cheers over a glass. How can you say cheers when there's only one? There's only one glass. How can you say cheers?
Yes!
How can you say cheers? That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. Very odd.
Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself.
Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers.
The cheers?
Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1.
Ooh. Well, you're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here.
Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there shouldn't have been 2 glasses on the table. There should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you gonna try to tell me you can clink with only 1? That's a good out-of-context, random, like... I love out-of-context Ace Attorney stuff. It's so good. You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Uh-oh, she shifted.
Inspector, what did the lady say?
It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. Is it gonna be that she's a phantom thief? And she stole the koban? And the professor saw, so she killed him. Is that what we're doing? What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact I'd been there at all, she's saying.
Good gracious.
Saki?
No, she's not French, though. So it wouldn't be like Saki, it would be like, Oi, sorry, bruv. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all.
Oh, please.
We must remember that the student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes.
That this student, yeah.
Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray?
Well, that's absurd.
Oh, really? So, do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young and beautiful woman of mischief?
What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag that could conceal a gun, you say?
A handbag, you say?
Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England.
So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass absolutely has no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You have wasted enough time already.
Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement?
Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. There's a deeper significance there. It's the handbag itself. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say?
Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. You know, about the size of a gun.
Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun.
Oh, you're right.
Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too.
What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard?
It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we must deduce that there must have been another firearm on the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will.
You can't seriously be suggesting...
Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? Oh, I can't go into a lady's purse, dude. That's the rule. English women keep their secrets in there. No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag.
No!
Does my man even have eyes modeled under his glasses?
Order, order, order.
What is the meaning of this, Inspector?
The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these, uncomfortable accusations.
Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Cosma? Jeez, buddy. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I'd completely forgotten about. This photographic print. Okay. What's that mark on his hand? Why does he have a cow brand on him? Also, is that a freaking clear bag? No way. Oh, this seems forged as frick. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag.
Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside.
That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment.
So the contents are clearly visible.
Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Oh, that's a real good hit animation. Wow.
Order, order. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once.
Certainly. Buddy, can you show me your wrists, perhaps? Do you have a cow brand on there? Certainly, Your Excellency. Photographic print of the handbag has been entered into the court record.
I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No. This one I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Cosma, buddy, you're not looking... Your headband ain't moving. Cosma? I've never seen his headband not moving. I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it?
Shoo-hoo-hoo. I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening.
Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime I didn't commit? And Kazuma, his dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph that the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. But our powers of observation.
Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke and Naruhodo, having considered all the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you...
Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, I don't think you can rule in this case yet.
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems the trial is over, he will give his ruling. That's the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Whoa, did he always have the hand thing? I don't think I've ever noticed him having a hand guard thing. Huh. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was little problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on this case at this time would be out of the question.
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence.
You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke.
I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Buddy, it's the cow. Touch the cow, do it now.
Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But, oh, that's new. I don't think I've ever seen him do that. That's such a sick animation.
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear?
Judge is a bit scary. Ace Attorney 1 to 3, and even further on, Judge, is a very happy, funny old man. And I love him. Udgy. I love him. He's just a funny guy. This guy, he's a bit scary. He's a bit scarier. It's the fact he doesn't have the big white Santa beard, you know. Yes, Your Excellency.
So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in the print you see the significant detail to which you have alluded.
Touch the cow. Do it now. Touch the cow. Do it now. I want to get the cow perfect. I want to touch the cow perfectly. I want to touch the cow perfectly. Close enough.
Yes!
I'm touching the cow. I'm doing it now. Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist.
Well, that is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Oh?
Objection!
Oh?
Dear me, I was pondering what that new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist. Clear that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right.
Go on, Inspector.
The police coroner also noticed it when performing the post-mortem examination. It was also deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so we didn't note it in the report.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of the burn.
Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the dean and other university. You can't do that. You can't just be like, yeah, I gotta go. No. No. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So, I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prize this shutting door back open again. Every now and then they use a word or phrase that I'm like, dang, don't think I've ever seen that used.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture.
Alright, let's see here. Did not pass through the victim's body. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Single bullet fired at close range. Okay. Shot there. Sketch of the restaurant. Yeah, it's just the back there. Kitchen's over there. Entrance is there. Clearly a record of some kind of medical treatment. There's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Okay, so yeah, we've already done this one. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh no. Okay, we gotta make sure that we don't do this too often. Because if you have to listen to the whole thing, this is not good. Oh geez. Okay, we're not doing this. It says, yeah, no food or drink. Yeah. So I think because this is technically new, because it doesn't have them finding it as a thing, right? Okay, well, we'll have to see. But if we had evidence? Evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it?
I would, yes.
To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn, but as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means.
So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the
Frick. Badge. Where's my badge number? Look at that. My personal student number is engraved on the back here. If you lose your pin, they won't accept you as a UMA student at the university. You may not come in. Shut up! Of course, you can get a new pin made if you can just tell them your number. I've actually lost mine twice already, but I still don't know my student number by heart. I always say to myself, I mustn't forget to write it down somewhere, but then I forget not to forget that. Oh, buddy, he's just like me for real. Ah, the symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's kind of Star Force-ish. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like this spike design, even though it really doesn't make any sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something? That was just a fun thing to check here. Okay, so 2 p.m., male British. Shot at close range from pectoral ballistic drama. Yeah, in the pecs. Yeah. Okay, well. The evidence that demonstrates the inexplicable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Oh, frick. Can I not? Wait. Oh my god, wait. Can I not? Wait, okay, save. Yeah. Okay. Saving and loading. My favorite thing to do in Ace Attorney games. Okay. Bullet did not pass through the... Right. If that was a burn mark there... But how did the burn... Undergone dental... Nothing but water. Can't do people. Okay, that's good at least. My thought is, okay, wait. If that's... He's facing away, right? Yeah, so that would be right there on the table there. So I checked the layout. But he was shot there. So he was shot here, and now it's facing this way. So it'd be right here, right? So that means that this... Okay. Bullet did not pass through the victim's body. I'm looking for anything here. Medical report. I can't find anything out of place. It says Hada Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I'd have this hideous injection in my right arm. Ugh, I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only had one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Yeah, we'll keep checking. Right? Looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never What the frick? What? Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So, you don't like doctors then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, then they demand lots of money for you for the privilege, all we're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is bitter medicine indeed. Healthy curiosity. Fun. I like the fact that they keep the Chivos, even in the Switch version. Frick. Why can't I... Wait. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's right here.
Yes!
Okay. So if it came out piping hot, he got... But if she... Wait, if she was the one who ate it, then the burn mark's on her! Oh my god, that's great.
What's this, counsel? Yet another print?
Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at this scene, we miss things. Because the plates come out hot, right? But in this photograph, we may have overlooked things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further would really be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in the other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean.
Oh my god. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 18 naked cowboys at Ram Ranch.
The beefsteak.
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on.
Well, the plate?
Oh. Whoa! Your Excellency, are you all right?
I was thinking of 18 naked cowboys at Ram Ranch.
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnaval. Huh. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well, Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But...
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense pointed out. That was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like this would have taken around 3 seconds. That's useful that you're an inspector to know that, and are playing along with us.
It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then.
I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnaval, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes, you are a detective, not a waiter. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burned themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. I mean, unless they're built different, but we don't talk about that. We don't have the ice emoji yet. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day, or any before. We've definitely heard the prosecutor scream. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day,
That would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel.
and the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamed we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossible. Okay, so Here's what I'm gonna say. This photo's fake. The bag itself was regular. It was a regular handbag. This one was purchased later to give fake evidence. That picture was taken by the police, whether it's with, oh frick, actually, wait. Is it Hosonaga because if he worked with the plates? Maybe? I don't know. It's someone else, though. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson, was already deceased? Interesting, let's go with that one. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from one in particular situation.
Counsel, are you suggesting?
Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already? Dead?
Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
Well, that's madness!
Okay, this is going in a direction I didn't think.
Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Are we gonna get into the fact that because... Wait. Are we gonna get into the fact that maybe he was poisoned? He fell on the plate and died. And then the gunshot happened as a distraction. And because there's no autopsy, they can't prove the poison. They just did a visual check. No, Professor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case is turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If that's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it.
Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But Your Excellency...
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Oh. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I mean...
I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Oh! She can just speak.
Oh, Miss Brett, you speak Japanese.
Well, of course I do. Oh, they're doing... Okay, the italic is English. Okay, like actually English. Of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all.
But then why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue. The Queen's... Queen's English! Is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Oof! Oh boy. One thing I know about this game ahead of time is apparently it is like monumentally not anti-Japanese, but it really goes into like, boy, there's so many slurs for Japan and ways to dunk on it. And of course it's written by Japan, so it's like, you know. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous values of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this, the lavish consideration you so graciously afforded us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson.
So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Thought it was weird that she was studying here and can't speak the language. Victim's death? Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it. Literally saying she used poison. She's literally saying it.
That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
Easy does it, buddy.
I hope that is the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue.
Jeez.
Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible.
Amen. And whatnot. Huh. Thanks? Was that a prayer, then? Well, you have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Oh my god, buddy! Jeez! Yes, Your Excellency. Ouch!
Then you may proceed with the cross-examination.
I know it's like they do that. It's a thing, but still. Victim's death. Okay, so let me just see here. If we check the court record, right? Because do we have anything that specifically says that it was just a... I don't think we have anything that actually says that it was a thing. I am curious about the sparkling water there. Because if he had a glass, right? And if that was his glass, you know, I'm gonna press a bit.
Yes!
I know I'm not going for every bit of dialogue. I'm not doing a completionist thing. It's because I would rather keep the momentum, you know? But otherwise, I'll check when I want to. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't have not noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. Bro! XYZ, examine your zipper. That's what I say every day before leaving the house. I go, okay? Keys, phone, XYZ. Examine your zipper, buddy. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? Oh, what fun! You hadn't realized.
This dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. You clipped that through your nose, I saw it. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Well, I can't. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in toast.
Yes!
Where'd the drinks come from? Did you also have the stuff? Yeah, as you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink, correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although,
Although?
whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Oi, damn you!
Oh, I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you.
I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us, as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's right, that's true. If it had cooled down even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
And yet, the fact that the victim was killed by a gunshot, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right.
Ugh.
Alright. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving its trace, please do show me. We don't have anything to actually show that it's poison, right? Unless you gave something other than water and it like worked with the anesthesia to like kill him? I don't know.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace? If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there is always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. As our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosanaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There'd be a physical trace with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Takatsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. This country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't... Okay, yeah,
Yes!
So I'm curious about this. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so?
Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly, which means that even if this investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Hello? Can I... Is this a new feature? It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't just quite seem right. Yeah. Osanaga there. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in our armor. Kazuma. What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If I might present an opening, maybe. If it might present, rather. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the... Oh my god, can we press different people for certain statements? That'd be wild. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Let's see here. How's this gonna work? Okay, so we go to this, we go press.
Yes!
Alright. Inferior, what do you mean by that? Yeah. Because this is the same, you can tell because the text is fast.
Wait.
Right there, okay. Can I... Okay. Yes, there it is again! The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the English woman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. He's lost in the sauce. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Rinosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focusing on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. Okay, but by moving the marker left and right, with that, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere among the people in the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker with that, and then focus on it. That was probably a touchscreen thing in the original. Pursue with A, see what's on his mind. Here we go. Means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Okay, I'm trying to press it. There we go. Oh good, and it still says who's doing it. Okay. Pursue. Excuse me? What's the meaning of this? Am I killing this man? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact he's intimately involved in the case.
Inspector Hosonaga,
Yes.
do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett?
Hmm? Is your sense of justice going to come through? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. She's not happy. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosanaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief. Well, looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Uh-oh. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Is he dying because he's been in the same room with poison in the glass and it's like gone into his air?
Can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. Court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence.
Yes. Yes.
Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death?
Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question.
Very well, counsel. You may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor.
He wiped it off screen. Okay. Well, guess what? Guess what? Wait, well, first off, let's see this. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Cosma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Can't find anything out of place. Okay, so it glows like that when it's got the thing. Okay. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much. I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh, no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, would there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked out something. An interesting possibility. Can I, like, glub, 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 glub? No, I can't pour it out? Okay. Alright, well.
Yes!
There we go. You know it's good when the music stops. If the music keeps going, you screwed up.
What is this, the bottle of water?
Or, as she calls it, a bottle of water. Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison.
Poison?
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass?
Order, order, order.
And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip poison into his drink? There was only one person who could have possibly done it. Giselle Brett, it was you! And you didn't see if he drank it or not, buddy, so you can't confirm.
This is outrageous! To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence! You little rookie imbecile! How have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed in a court of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime.
What?
The fact this woman is British makes no difference. We're here to determine the truth. If I may.
I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack.
Oh.
It is you who should be silent. Oh, of course. Dear lady!
Where did that come from? She just snapped. That's a good shut up.
I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies.
I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring?
I describe your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not.
Of course.
You did?
Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time.
I don't believe it.
Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents.
And? What did you find, Inspector?
I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this... It's French. And she's British, so, buddy... Okay, I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the carbonated bottle of water, Your Excellency. But, are you sure? What if it's in the glass? What if it's in the glass and that's why she took the glass? Oh! The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! No!
I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned.
Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has now clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from the gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit.
I'm done for.
The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience it has caused you, Miss Brett.
Oh no! I'm just glad the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense, do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point?
Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Come on. Come on, we gotta say. Yeah? Wait, I know! She went to go get the glass!
Please, wait.
Isn't that lady?
What is the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency.
Susato Mikotoba. Oh! She's sussy. Okay.
Judicial assistant to the defense.
Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in furoshiki cloth. Mikoto. For some reason, I'm getting, like, vibes of, like, Susano? I don't know why. Oh, what a good point. Yeah, that's great. All right, guys. I love the fact that this game has natural to be continued points so much. So much. It's so perfect. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. for the end, probably, of episode 1, The Adventure of the Great Departure. We will see you guys next time for some more. Ciao.